Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I am Raw Zim, and this is the final episode of Guild Tails Dungeons and Dragons. Unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast has made us have to bring this to an end far sooner than we anticipated. Their new updates to the open gaming license are absurd, and it's a really terrible situation. But we have had to respond by dropping all D&D content here on the channel. I really thank you all so much for coming by over these years. We started with D&D, and that's how I started my channel, with D&D. And now we are bringing it to an end. But it's not the final chapter. We've got Pathfinder out there still. We've got Exalted. We've got World of Darkness. We've got our Pokemon Mystery Dungeon tabletop game. And there's so many other tabletop games waiting out there that are coming up now with all of this, and ones that are just hidden gems out there. But unfortunately, the era of D&D, at least on this channel, is coming to an end. We are going to start off with introductions, starting with Enja.
Hello and good day, everyone. I am Enja, and this, perhaps for the current time, will be the last time I host as the storyteller. I am a prismite and arbiter of all things that happen, at least things within my control. Damneth ye, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. But for now, I will turn it over to Cyrus.
And I am Wusteinol. I was Cyrus over here, the Hunter Ranger and Circle of Spores Druid. Owlin and caretaker and handler to the Miss-summoned demon Ruvikin. A little gerbil at last time seen. And with that,
Oh, don't forget don't forget your little business that you were running, NFT.
Oh, yes. And of course, a small little transformation business on the side, courtesy of Ruvikin, and only planned to be bolstered further if this had unfolded as intended. So much potential. That said, on to Graham.
I was playing Graham Ashfell, who was a Hexblade Warlock and Warpriest Cleric who was hoping to overcome his family's past and do something good. More meaningful to the city. And now, Rob.
He has returned.
Did he?
I have returned.
He here?
Yes, I had to close the stream. Hello, I'm Archneer Rob. I was and will be for tonight playing Coronan, the Artificer Armorer, and his description is still not changed from Strange Bugman. A wayward... lost somebody. A wayward... not planeswalker, I suppose, planesfaller from another realm. Seeking to find a new role and purpose in this strange new hive with new friends. moving on to Kerr, who has vanished.
Where did he go?
I don't know. And I can't ramble much more about Cardan.
I guess we'll just go to Nim then. We'll circle back when he comes
Alright.
back.
I am Razim, and I was playing Nim Otar Bonechomp, with his faithful companion Silver. I started playing Nim with one of our first D&D campaigns here on the channel, Fists of Furry, which took place in Faerun, or the Forgotten Realms. And his story, the group kind of fell apart after a while, many years of running, and instead of actually giving up Nim because I wanted to finish his story, I brought him forward because this campaign was set in the Magic the Gathering universe. So making him a planeswalker and escaping death at the last moment, well, it just worked. And he was originally a paladin. After he... When he was getting pulled away, he did not want to give up his best friend forever, Shenzi, who has made a return to the channel here tonight. And so, little bit of info here. Planeswalkers cannot take living people with them. So instead, he had to basically absorb her soul. She's been inside of him somewhere, and one of his goals was to find her and bring her back. But that never really came to pass during the course of the campaign. We just have now run out of time. But Nim is now a wizard, having kind of taken his magic kind of turning towards the arcane after he brought in Shenzi. And Silver was a warrior, one of the companion classes. They are both noble wolves, which are basically sentient feral wolves. And now I'll turn it over to Gray.
I am the Fox Bard. I am the one who's been playing the Kenku monk known as Cray. Cray was actually originally designed when I was DM of this game, and before it was Guild Tails, when we were doing Tales of Mirrorleth. Cray was introduced to sort of be a kind of piece of plot. But I kind of did like the character idea, so when we shifted over to Guild Tales, I decided to reskin him a bit as a ambitious, secretive, mysterious kind of individual. Cray's function in the party is well, he is the monk, of course, but he's also been an individual who, at least I've tried to put him into place so that he can drive the plot along, where he's been trying to work behind the scenes and even works a little bit as a semi-antagonist for the party. At least he was for a good time, until some plot and development happened. The party is now aware that he is a member of the Demir, even though he first appeared as a member of the Azurius. And yeah. That's
You're
kind of
forgetting
been the
his
journey
most
of Cray.
important role. His role as Nim's lawyer.
And he is the party's lawyer, yes. Namely Nim's, but he would lawyer for the party too.
Yes.
All right.
I guess it's my turn.
Actually, Kerr came back.
We'll circle
Okay.
back to Kerr after Element.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Hello. I am Raharu, and I've been playing the fox named Elemi in this campaign. He was a character that I also use in Tales of Maryland that I wanted to play as I wanted to play as a straight up goody two shoes paladin. I think I've been doing kind of fine in that regard. And well, he didn't have much forethought going for him in that regard. But I think the stuff that happened during this campaign ended up being pretty interesting for him and the rest of the party. I'm kind of sad that this campaign had to end so prematurely, but I'm happy that it all happened to begin with. Now let's go to you, Kurt.
Has Kerr imploded once again?
Kerr, you there?
I forgot I was also muted on.
Oh my god.
That
No
mute
worries,
button.
no worries.
No, I was actually muted on Discord, not just my
Yep.
my microphone. I'm Kerr. I play Hootie, and I was in the campaign for a little bit a while back, and then I came back last week, and then Wizards of the Coast decided we shall smite all D&D games. Unfortunately, I'm not exalted, so I can't parry the smite.
It's not smiting, it's appropriating.
Tomato, tomato.
Fair.
Tomat.
Though, I suppose, might as well ask, what class? What was the class? I can probably guess, but I have to ask.
The class was a third-party class that I found that I dug up. It was a class that I found a while back, but never figured to try. It's called Armored Hero. It is based off basically a Toku hero, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, basically one of those. And I
Inspire.
really wanted to give it. I wanted to give it a spin.
Fair enough. Well, I do believe that was all of us.
Now
Oh,
we've
unless-
got
wait,
Shenzi.
No, Shenzi.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ninja Cupcake. I play Shenzi Bonechomp, Nim's bestest friend forever. She is a necromancer who started in the original Fists of Furry campaign. I was really honored when Nim asked me to come play Shenzi one more time. It'll be great to have that closure for both of our characters.
Yeah, funny thing there is it literally started as a joke on a friend of mine where a friend of mine, I would jokingly send him a really expensive speaker set, and I was like, hey, get this for me for my birthday. And he said, no, I'll get it for you for your wedding to a woman. Because, you know, he knew I was gay and wouldn't ever marry a woman. So I immediately messaged Ninja here and was like, hey, want to get our characters married?
And of course, Shenzi was very excited over the prospect of having a bestest friend forever because all she's ever wanted to do is make her friends. I mean, she's a necromancer, she makes friends, right?
Yeah.
Friends. Forever.
Forever.
Neither of them really understood the concept of marriage.
It was great. We even consumed it at the wedding feast.
No, we had to consummate our marriage later.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't it consummate?
No, it was consuming. If you ask Shenzi, it was consuming. We had a wedding feast. You consume the marriage at the wedding feast, right? That's how that works?
Yeah. Yeah. But our wedding feast got interrupted by the cake golem.
Yep.
What a shit.
And then we went around town after one of the other players asked us if we had consummated our marriage, and we're like, oh, right, our wedding feast got interrupted. So we went around town asking people to help us consummate the marriage. We did not
Mhm.
understand what that actually meant.
Yep.
But we'll go and circle back to Enja.
Indeed. After all these wonderful speeches, I felt I should talk more. In perhaps the final session, since I never showed up myself, I am Enja, a prismite. Prismites being a species of my own creation. Something of a creator race that didn't fuck up for once. They just instead got fucked over by other people, presented a middle finger, and then decided we're out. We're just out.
See.
Fair enough.
You
yeah.
people suck. We're done.
Basically, yes. Maybe some side effects of them leaving. And maybe they might need to come back to fix entropy.
Oh no, not entropy. That's totally scientists.
Perhaps someday he'll make a proper appearance. So many opportunities. I really wanted to bring that little halfling merchant.
You mean the gnomish merchant, Greaves?
That's the one. Yes, that's.
He made an appearance at least once.
I wanted him to be around a lot more when things started wrapping up. And the party said, this isn't cutting it anymore. Did someone say this isn't cutting it anymore?
And then we would all just be like,
not
shut up and take our gems.
Basically, yes.
As we convert all of our gold to gems.
Funnily enough, at the jeweler. Give us all your uncut gems. What?
And I guess there is one more character to introduce as well. Right, Kerr? He made an appearance in this.
He seems to not be responding. So perhaps I'll just introduce Tree.
He doesn't want to come out right now.
Oh, I was about to play the card. But, okay. Yeah, go ahead and introduce Tree as well. Tree deserves
Tree
introduction.
is let's call them a happy series of events that turned into something extraordinary. It's basically influence layered on donation gold, layered on shenanigans. Tree was a almost dryad tree that was supposed to give healing apples, but they suck up the vitality from basically everything around them. Then the party got their hands upon an extraordinary ham, and the tree began to consume and started branching into other dimensions. And then it just kept growing and growing and being guarded by Nim, and many events befell it as Nim fiercely protected the tree. And then it began to understand that this was its guardian and reached out towards Nim and developed more powers, and it was only going to get crazier as time went on, as it is, well, let's just say it would continue to become a being like no other. As Tree has ascended
Ascension.
into its final form, giant tree with
Oh.
face.
Oh no.
It is now the single tallest tree in all of Ravnica.
Of course it is, that makes sense.
That can turn one of its leaves into a mini dryad to go and communicate for it.
Oh, God.
Oh.
So Tree has become Yggdrasil, effectively.
Basically, yes.
Okay, sure.
I will explain what happened post-session.
So,
Please do.
During the epilogue.
so tonight we are going to have our epilogue session, and afterwards we will be having basically a Q&A.
Yes, feel free to answer any question you like. I will not keep any secrets. There is no point.
Yeah.
Feel free to answer any question if you like.
But let's go ahead and get started.
Very well. Now, to begin with, the party was going to have, and did have, escalating conflicts with the Seeker as they had to become a lot more active and pronounced in stopping the people who were trying to stop them, and diverting the guild's attentions back towards each other, generally maintaining status quo in attempts to try and, well, continue their work. It seemed that, after getting their hands on a few mana pieces and realizing that the big guild would stop them, they began being able to mark the mana pieces, following their coordinates, rather, so that they could all be collected all at once when the time was needed, and when people would assume they were safe. Moving them again, however, as Raylel would, did disrupt things and they had to find them again. Raylel did have to evade a few guardians that burst out of their temples when some madmen literally popped in, picked it up, and gave them a peace sign.
Oh no.
Of course he did. Of course he broke into the temples to steal the pieces.
Put them in a more secure location. And of course he didn't offer any explanation. So that was also something the guilds were going to have to deal with, as furious guardians burst out looking for their ward. However, in the midst of this, the ensemble would, one after another, find their reason to be and their resolve, with Graham's help and the help of their peers, as well as some help from the party. Nim probably never realized that he'd actually been quite the help for Greta, as her fifth ability had everything to do with cooking, and just feeding people instead of eating herself.
Ray!
Elena got her body back and felt like a real person once again. It was touching, and she even started to dress casually because, my god, you really can't wear just a black and blue suit forever. She needs a nice hat. And she was, surprisingly enough, a rather pear-shaped daughter. With a pink beret. Pluto, well, finally
you
settled
should be,
in back at his home.
You
Yes.
should probably be bringing up the art for all of them, by the way.
Oh. Yes, that is a good idea, actually. I don't have one prepared for Elena, though.
Well, that's fine. But you can at least show what they were before they got the new body.
You are correct. Hold on, viewers.
Because, you know, it is good art.
It is.
Very good art.
Share? Greta, for all the folks at home.
Oh, they look a lot more pleasant than I imagined.
That looks pleasant at all to you?
It's a good thing
Never
you didn't
seen
let her
this
to
person.
start. It's a good thing you didn't let her to start.
Huh.
That's horrifying, but okay.
Remember when I said that she eats people with her hands?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, no, but
Oh,
I didn't think like this. This was much more tame.
Simic experiment, folks. Simic
Does she have eyes?
Yes, it's a tiny
Yeah.
little red bead.
red
It's a,
dot. Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
The tiny Terminator eyes. Yeah.
Calcero only once considered asking her to date you, Element, and then said, no, I can't.
Elami will probably look like a setup with a really expression if you ever try that.
Oh yeah, the serrated hammer.
She calls it her meat tenderizer. She calls
One moment.
The serrated hammer.
the legend.
You cannot unserrate this hammer.
And here was Elena, who was stuck in a vampire body for a very long time. This was her murderer. By the way, just a reminder, folks, this is the person that murdered her, and now she had to inhabit their body
Ah.
Yeah.
in a desperate Uno reversal.
Yeah, that must have been pretty awkward for her.
Yeah, especially considering that she went to the Selesnya afterwards and had to have a magic parasol that blocked direct sunlight.
Indeed.
It's really hard to convince people that you're a very high level cleric and actually a good person when you look like that. My god. Cleric vampire.
Ah.
Very difficult. And where's our boy Pluto?
Who was also Graham's mentor for all things
Yes.
mana.
I think Elena was Nim's mentor.
Probably the closest thing. She always believed in the best of people, and sometimes you just meet that. Pluto, the morally dubious, formerly Orzhov slave. Unfortunately, he picked up a lot of their mannerisms, and eventually he mellowed. But do remember that he also offered Nim Greta's tail and forced Mr. Ramsey into a contract where the group would always have a table at the Restorer reserved and ready for them.
Oh yeah, I remember all that.
He mellowed out.
With a bit of help from Graham prodding him.
Yeah. Pluto has finally settled in at his wife's family, where he is, well, not the only undead, but it's certainly taking people some time to get used to him, because he's not been around for his kids' lives in a very, very long time. There's a lot of catching up to do, especially since they are married, and he has grandkids. Oh, and Jin was his ancestor. Also a touch awkward.
Ah! I did not know that.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise!
Might want to explain Jin a little bit.
Ah, yes. Jin was a guardian of one of the black mana pieces in the Golgari district, a Death Knight, and a very powerful one. But, as everyone was rather terrified of him and wondering how to approach, Nim walked up and just greeted him, and he got head pats, because there was no way that this group was a danger. And then they actually had a very productive and meaningful conversation, as the Death Knight really didn't know the dealings of what was really going on above, because he kept his charge, and was actually quite a decent man at the end of the day. Taught the party a lot of things without much bullshitting.
I don't wonder what other beverage related names the other guardians would have had if we had met anymore.
Oh, well, you would find out later that that's a nickname.
Ah, fair enough.
And well, after a lot of time passes, you hold on to your fondest memories, and well, that name has a lot of fond memories because it's generally just like palling around with your friends. Turns out, yes, they drank. They drank a lot back when they were alive. Even malt.
Oh no, I do not want to imagine what drunk Maul would be like.
He wasn't always that gigantic. But well, you grow bigger.
I see.
Malt would eat whole barrels, only to then learn the consequences when that was not metal inside those.
Oh no.
Oh, malt.
They were not always so old and wise as they are now.
Nobody ever is.
All right, who's next?
But they did basically kill mana gods.
They did. It took a lot of effort. An extraordinary effort, and a lot, and Ravnica had to repair for a very long time.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they kill the Nephilim before like Ravnica was like really a big thing?
I think that is the case.
I think they killed the Nephilim and then built the built Ravnica basically on top of their corpses.
Oh.
Not necessarily literally, but I do think that's like the gist of what happened.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty. And here is Eileen. Thankfully, she's working very diligently after having brought together all her copies and rejoined into a singular unit once again, foregoing the very convenient teleportation and realizing that she is more than the sum of her parts. She is still growing and advancing, and she cares. She cares a lot, actually, which was not really her programming. Also, she is not her past life. She and her past self are very, very distinctly different beings at this point.
Sense to me.
She's still trying to rein in Raylel, though. Unsuccessfully, but she's probably got the best chance out of anyone.
We can only ask her to try. That is a big ask, to be fair.
She is perhaps the one most capable of chasing after him during his shenanigans also.
Mm-hmm.
And making contingency plans. Who is next?
Oh, we should also mention that Eileen also started Graham on the path to wanting to save the ensemble from their eventual their corruption, or at least the future version of herself.
Eventual construction.
Why don't we talk
Corruption.
about Mammon
I know.
after we've talked about Eileen? Mammon, future Eileen. And as the party would come to discover, Eileen's distortion.
Distortion?
or rather corrupted form.
Oh. I wasn't expecting that.
No. Every one of these bastards has a corrupted form. And this is Eileen's. Turns out, Mammon, not quite as benevolent as everyone expected them to be. Because I will remind you, Floor Grandmother gathered every single one of the party's allies. Mammon is a neutral party. They want the best result, but if this isn't the best result, they will leave you to rot and just reset the stage. But if you are acting it, but if this is the right one, and turns out this one was just the magic bullet, then yes, she will be a steadfast ally, but she is, in the end, self-serving, and finally glad to have her duty fulfilled. However, now she's really not sure what to do with herself. They won. And she's been doing this for millennia at this point.
To be fair, when you have done this for such a while, I can understand being apathetic to the people around you.
Basically, there was a lot of timey-wimey nonsense. She kept resetting the timeline.
Because it turns out, in the first timeline, the party won, but Ravnica was basically in pieces and beyond repair. So, the thing was, Raylel and Markov made a portal and sent her back. During that time, they locked in those times, and in doing so, basically made her an arbiter. They wanted her to make the right timeline, or at least in their perspective, the perfect one. And eventually, even if it was a minuscule chance, eventually it would happen. So, she studied. She watched people. She basically got them down to a script. And then started making alterations. Watching Raylel like he was like a sequence of random numbers to determine if he does this and this is happening elsewhere. Yep, I got it. And then she started influencing events. Until finally, this perfect timeline happened. She took it, placed it in, and basically made this the new first timeline. Basically exploding every other branch.
She
God,
has,
I
Damn,
understand.
Mammon.
she has the power to do that, huh? Wow.
It's been building for a very long time.
As I understand it, this was the first one where Nim showed up.
Yes. And turns out, this was just what was needed. This time.
Name was the pivot.
He was that chaotic element that threw things askew just enough to break the molds traditionally, and to find her sooner than is normal. And once she is found, she would start nudging things a bit more with clues and assistance.
Nudge.
She used Graham. How could she?
Well, it's mutual exploitation, really.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well, now she's just hanging around without really much idea what to do.
Nim can give
Although
her
you
something to do.
Oh, you
Well-
said Mammon was the corrupted version of Eileen.
Yes, mana corruption doesn't always mean evil. It means that you've lost your principle. Let's say that after literal millennia, she got herself together again.
I was gonna say, like, because she basically convinced Graham that she basically she had a realization and was like, ah, yes, this is like who I am, and then like turned into that. It was like, oh, that's interesting.
Let's say she kinda
Fudged
didn't. Well, let's say that she went crazy before she had her self-realization.
it.
Who would send a sentient robot with feelings and emotion against the eternity of time and expect them to be okay?
Who would send anything
Yeah.
to that and expect it to be okay? I don't think they expect her to be okay. They just expect her to actually get it right.
Yeah, no matter what, eventually she'd get it right.
So, next.
Alrighty. Ah, yes. Oswald! Finally got performing right, and it turns out he's pretty good for morale. Because he is impossible to intimidate. Perhaps just because he doesn't get it. But he will sass anyone, and it turns out he is impervious to most things. Actually, spells, sneak attacks, most weaponry. If he is oblivious to it, nothing occurs. And if he thinks it's a game, it's gonna be a game. So,
Oh my god, he broke reality.
it's because he doesn't understand it. Welcome to his mana ability, idiot savant. With actual probability altering power. And really, he just wants everyone to have a good time. So if someone's all business, oh, they're not going to be great. Oh, go away.
Go away.
And sometimes you need a little silly. He became appreciated as an entertainer who will call out other Rakdos and say, like, that's not funny. Stop that.
Oh, I'm happy for him.
Stop butchering people. That's not fun. Not the most popular in the Rakdos, but many other people appreciate him. Where? I don't seem to have an image for Parker. It's just a red X in a box. Oh well. Parker the Pangolin finally took off his armor and went and apologized to everyone. Because it turns out he's actually a very meticulous person who has been trying to let go of the past for a very, very long time. But he never ended up forgetting everything he did that was wrong. But after being convinced to embrace the past and that it's never going to go away and it's always going to be a part of him, but it doesn't have to be all of him. he paid his dues, and well, let's just say that the Boros put him back to work. Hard work. But he seemed quite satisfied with it, actually. Even if he's still got an occasional flare-up. He has a strong sense of justice still.
Duke.
Duke.
Starling, a very interesting case. If you remember them.
I remember him, yes.
Them.
The Chimera.
They are a one, but still a they.
Yes, especially since each head has a mind of its own. They are Cerberus. And
Yes.
curiously enough, the rooster's a female. Somehow, you can thank the Simic for that one. Again. You can...
Yes.
They learned how to get along with each other because turns out they never really let's say their personalities didn't mash very well. A talkative one that's more deep and introspective, and one that's just
One that's just what?
actually crazy. If you remember, when I was playing them, I said that anyone could speak in for the donkey.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, no, they're perhaps as crazy as Raylo.
Oh no.
Ooh.
That's no good.
It's also extended to the chat. Not many took up the offer, though. But it seems that, with the other two focusing on the donkey, he could piece a personality back together. And with that in place, they could actually start coordinating with one another. This guy can hold so many fucking concentration spells. Holy shit!
Specifically 3.
No.
I mean, even just being able to hold more than one is insanely powerful.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Which was the whole point of mana, is that you were a broken asshole if you knew what to do.
Yes.
Absolute breaks.
Turns out, very high-level bard. Or perhaps unsurprisingly.
Wasn't expecting Bart, but I guess that makes sense actually.
They're a chorus by themselves. They're a though perhaps not as promiscuous as a typical bard.
Yeah, I don't imagine.
Let's just say that if this one distorted, it would be particularly horrific.
I don't want to imagine.
They explode into a marching band. Who is next? Ah, yes. Tanya. Very much Tanya. Perhaps one of the more active members of the ensemble, and forever with the attitude. Let's say that one getting hitched helped a lot. Because, well, Paracona was plenty for her. And along with some other realizations that she could use her strength for more than fighting, because she seemed to have a misconception when it came to strength. Strength is for fighting. If you have strength, you have to fight. And she enjoyed that for a while until she fought for a long time and started wondering, like, what's the point, actually? If I punch someone, they're just gonna be back the next day. I'm not changing anything. And then she got back to protecting people. And it mattered. And perhaps with a little setting up, she'd probably come to that realization that protecting people is pretty worthwhile, actually.
Aww.
It's pretty satisfying, and it's not the law of the jungle. It doesn't have to be. And post final battle, she also
She also what?
she also gets married. Guess to who? Guess to...
Ukasa?
No, Terracona.
No. Terracona, of course.
No. She'd fucking suplex Golkasa if you offered her a flower. She'd fucking.
I was joking.
I mean, perhaps if they'd never broken up in the first place, but she was literally too wild and didn't want to abide by even Boros rules.
Yeah. You know someone's really against rules if they have even less tolerance for them than Golkasa.
Yeah. Also, she's way younger than him.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Ren, Mr. Multi-Eye himself. Thankfully, prevented, he came very close to corrupting. After Cray's mother sicked a lot of assassins on him.
After Cray kind of betrayed Graham's trust.
Well, many things happened. All right,
They did.
Let's not point fingers. Let's not point too many fingers. And it turns out he'd been basically holding a noose around her neck very long time and told her, "Don't screw with me again." Because apparently they were both in the Demir. However, he was a bit of a genius. And he could do things without even having to try very hard. And this pissed her off so much. And the thing is, he never saw it coming the first time. He thought they were good friends. Because they'd always be paired up together, and she'd like spend days on it, and he'd be somewhere else. And eventually said, like, "Are you still working on it?" "Yes." "Cool." 5 minutes later, "Okay, I'm done." "What the fuck?" She was so angry that she literally murdered him. She cut off his head completely. Turns out, he hadn't allocated any of his mana at that point. And he spent it there. Got back up, turned around, tied one of his little red strings around her neck and said, "Don't ever do that shit again." And she had been living in concern that one day he might just pull that string. And, well, finally tried something. And he was getting ready, thinking, well, this is it. It happened. I knew it would happen, but I really wanted to give her a chance. Elvin was not there, unfortunately, but Graham did get there in time to tell him, stop. Just stop. Let it go. And after a lot of dialogue and reluctance, he did let go of the string and his hold on her life.
Because he could be better than her.
Turns out he is an avid believer in fate and the inevitable. And destiny. But that was the day he tried to deviate from perhaps what he assumed his own destiny would be. And it did open his eyes. He started believing in free will again. Even if he was very sour for quite the time. Oh, and I have one more revelation for the party. Concerning Ren.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's that?
He was the one that took the white mana out of Nim's bag. He traded it for the snowfall.
Ah, so he's the one who stole it.
Yes.
I mean,
But
they've
wasn't
already
the
been
Orzhov
announced.
at all?
They contacted him. Let's say that Ren, in his belief of fate and the inevitable, really didn't think the ensemble was going to come out on top at the end of all this and made some deals of his own.
Oh my.
I see.
He was a traitor! But then he stopped being a traitor.
Yay!
Hardly a traitor, just an agent.
AKA, the Demir did Demir things.
You are correct. He is a Demir at heart. He is a Demir.
In fact, I think he's like one of the few members of the ensemble that hasn't was in one guild and then jumped ship to another one later on.
You would be correct, actually.
I think almost every member of the ensemble did that. They started in a guild and then went to a different guild and then were like, okay, let's do this ensemble thing.
Yep. Ren, also in that case, was the exception. Demir stayed Demir. He never even left, really.
He's just Demir. He was just doing the Demir thing in the ensemble for the Demir.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And being a constant pain for Kray's mother. A daily reminder. Let's see. Where is my picture for Zephyrin? Ah, I see. It is also a red X. Why?
Weird.
Closing and
You're-
opening it again.
Nope. Oh well. Zevran, as the party would find out, was actually one of Alant's closest friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is it fair that I was kind of expecting that, considering how much he knew about the Seekers?
No, that's perfectly fair. He had vowed revenge against Alant, however, when turns out he was married to Alant's sister. However, Alant, in his quest for power, had basically had them as officers in his little army, and they were happy to serve. Until when it was time to burn the next realm, something prevented Alant's sister from leaving, and Alant burnt that plane anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, would do it.
To say Severin was furious would be an understatement.
understandable.
Especially because she was pregnant.
Oh no. That's even worse.
Honestly, he thought this plane would be a milk run. It was such an easy job. When he got back, my guy, what the fuck? My God, what the fuck? Oh, she wasn't. Well, that's a shame. You son of an actual. And so the next target was Ravnica, and he started the ensemble and said, "I need to kill you." So
That did
he
not
also
come through.
found everyone else in the Seekers,
Did you?
told them this guy. Yep.
We didn't hear what you said there with the deeper
Yeah,
voice.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit.
Sorry about that. He is also the founder of the ensemble because Alant's next target was Ravnica, and he said, "I'm going to get people to stop you." He also traded all of his mana abilities for a weapon strong enough to make Alant worried. If you remember,
His side?
that's right, that the one that does permanent HP damage.
Oof. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah. Alant doesn't want to get close to him. I mean, who wants to lose HP permanently? Plus, that thing has other effects, like being a Vorpal.
It can also touch the intangible.
That's also correct. Oh, Severin traded all of his mana abilities to make a god-slaying weapon, just so he could swing it at one guy.
To be fair, considering the backstories, I guess I don't blame him.
You know, it also wouldn't have surprised me if he added like the insane, like, because I do know the abilities get even stronger if you like make them conditional. If he made it in the insane condition of that, it would only hurt a land.
No, he did something else.
Oh, I know, but I'm just
Remember-
saying, like,
Yeah. He burned his mana abilities. He would never get that potential back.
oh my.
Literally sacrificed them just to make a god-slaying weapon.
So that means anyone could have grabbed that weapon.
Out of his cold, dead hands. But yes. Safe to say, he was intending to perish after he killed Alant. But with a lot of persuasion and all of his co-workers revealing to him that they were allies and even potentially friends.
And
He
also
started-
not going crazy.
Yeah. He started to warm up to the idea of maybe surviving after the encounter. And just stay alive. Not a lot of point in suicide. let's start going into some of the character stories, because everyone has had a chance to talk. And let's say the final battle is panel. Because the big bad evil guy does manage to resurrect the Nephilim in an incomplete form, or rather a temporary one, throwing everything and all of his remaining resources into it. However, temporary is pretty tough when it would be in the realm for a month, endlessly resurrecting everything that died under its command, including the other Nephilim. And thankfully, by that point, the party had unified the guilds and purged them of seeker influence, plus convincing them to stand against the Seekers. So it was a titanic clash that almost broke Ravnica to pieces, with every enemy that perished returning to the field, undead but back.
Not just enemies, also your allies who perish fighting those enemies.
Plus the old champions, the old leaders.
Oh,
They don't have to be fresh dead. Anyone that died in Ravnica.
oh God. They definitely can bring literally anybody back. Not just the
Yes,
reason why.
this was why Graham was so terrified of the prospect, because he understood that. He was like, "Oh, fuck."
Yes.
Yes, another
Thankfully,
reason.
thankfully, before this battle, you also managed to deal with his subordinates. And I believe the party could have convinced Mary to defect.
That's
Wait,
right.
wait,
She just wanted money and to be on the winning side.
Yes.
we were on our way to we were on our way to attempt to accomplish that.
I'll just say you eventually succeed. Probably with Cray doing a lot of the smooth talking, as his mana whispered to her that she was a queen once when that mattered.
Wait, what?
Oh, you must have forgotten that. Yeah, no. Turns out she's hella busted. She's also got mana, but she was also once upon a time a queen until Alant arrived and turned everything.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you said that my mana whispered to someone else, and I was like, what?
No, no. Turns out Mary is the last queen of a place that doesn't, and Madeline was her attendant.
Right.
Talking about kings and queens. Does Ravnica have a concept of a king and queen?
I don't believe so.
Before it became a big city.
I'd need to look more at the past. Anyway, some notes. Terracona, all of its campaign had been working to become a master blacksmith. And do you remember what his goal was?
No.
The goal that he'd actually made some progress on. He was trying to incorporate the astral, the ensemble uniform that was basically magic resistant, outright, as in half magic damage from basically every element. But you couldn't wear armor because it was clothes. During the campaign, he had managed to incorporate it successfully without compromising anything to leather armor.
Ooh.
Ooh. Quite the achievement.
he had been working very hard, ceaselessly, every day. And with some help from Tree, to basically take him somewhere where time moved different, Terracona finally managed to incorporate it into armor.
Did Terracona went into the hyperbolic time chamber?
He needed time. Plus, he felt he was finally onto something. He finally got the inspiration he needed.
So he just needed extra time.
Do you have any idea how long it takes to make a magic item?
Actually, I don't. How long does?
Depends on the quality of the item, and these are legendary. These
Yeah, it's one
Here.
of those.
year. It takes a year to make one. It takes a year.
Oh, amazing.
However, Tree is also a little bullshit, and sped up the process without aging him too much.
Ooh.
So, by the time the final battle came around, all the important people were dressed out in strong duds, let's say.
Ooh.
Also, to join in the final battle, all of Ravnica, Mary's forces, and one other surprise guest came. An army of what looked like riptides.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Riptide, bring
sliver.
him back!
No.
They're not slivers.
They're not slivers.
Please tell me they
Nom
were
nom.
still loyal to Nim.
Of course, they didn't harm anyone that was not an ally. Well, they didn't harm a single good person.
That they consider good at least.
And they did say, or at least one of them, told Nim, Father Riptide remembers his friends.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh.
The final battle was, however, tough. Everyone needed to participate because they needed to reach the Nephilim, break through all the champions, and bring it low and finish Lant off. And that took a lot of magic and a lot of power, and Mammon being front and center in a final battle where she was in very real danger, because Alant could, with her being so exposed, get his hands on her. However, things went well, and he perished.
Yay!
Was dispelled. So, all the mana had been brought back together. The question was, what to do? Break it back apart? Return it to the temples and hope this didn't happen again? Then Raylo picked them up and said, I know what to do, and he threw them inside of Tree.
Oh, no.
God.
And Tree underwent her final evolution. Basically, because yes, Tree identifies as a female.
Okay.
Undergoing her final evolution becoming the great tree where mana flows and across all of
Oh dear.
still
I didn't
color
get-
divided, as was their request.
Ravnica got its very own Yggdrasil.
That is correct. Along with a myriad of other abilities. As tree was all green now.
Happy tree.
And now
All the friends.
we'll go for individual character epilogues.
Well, I think it's best if Nim goes last, but
All right.
just because of what we spoke about.
People can talk about their contributions during the final battle, whatever they wish to say, as I still have other characters I have yet to touch upon, because I wanted to inform people of the final confrontation and its aftermath. Ravnica is hurt, but it will rebuild. There is a lot of rebuilding to do.
Indeed.
Oh, it'll certainly rebuild.
Let
Many
us...
opportunities for improvement.
Corridon, why don't you go first?
Mm.
Tell them about how your mana developed
Ah,
and how things went, along with your goals and plans for the future. After all, this isn't the end, not for Corridon.
I apologize to all of the other worlds and realms who will be affected by Corridon, but it will be for the greater good. Improvement. Corridon's mana, he had no training to base it off of, so Corridon's mana manifested in the most natural way of following the instincts, following his own natural evolution. When pushed to the brink of he'd gotten himself into the thick of fighting, ran out of spells, ran out of ammo, got himself cornered again, couldn't get out of it, and quite badly injured, his instincts kicked in. That little primal bit in his brain going, "You're support, you're not supposed to be injured. Why are you injured? This is bad." And his mana manifested to shift him. A physical transformation which shifted him from being a worker class of a mere 7 foot, pushing 8 foot tall bug person into a warrior class bug person of 12 foot tall and enhanced abilities, shall we say? It effectively, mechanic wise, shifted him from a level 9 artificer level 1 fighter to a level 1 artificer level 9 fighter.
Yes. Which is higher on the hierarchy for his species.
Yes, his very frontline aggressor oriented species. He was shifted significantly up the totem pole because a support class should not be as a support class should not be injured unless they drop something on their foot. DG help.
Yes.
Brain derail.
Ah, yes. With his new position, there would be people who would answer his calls in the hive, even contact with them. This got him to thinking that if he could gain more strength, more of the hive could listen to him. And so, as he continued to gain more power throughout his adventures, more experiences, he could get more of the hive to listen to him, even dedicating some mana abilities to it. Until eventually, with his final realization, he ruled the hive. Would you like to take it from there?
He what the hive?
He
Ruled
ruled.
the hive.
Oh,
Usually, the queens rule. The queens are not in Ravnica. As the sole member of his species in Ravnica, he is the highest ranking. Therefore, he should have gained more power and more abilities. So his mana forced that evolution through him. For a limited time. We were going to count it along levels of exhaustion for how long he could hold this transformation up.
that is pretty cool.
The exhaustion was my own input for this. Seems like it could get pretty strong at some point. So let's put some sort of limiter on it.
He is calling allies to Ravnica.
Yes. If even the warrior gets pushed back to the brink, the last thing it does is it calls out to the hive as a scout.
Well, that
A
actually...
desperate call that summons anything beneath it.
That was actually something I was planning to do with Nim for the final battle, is he would be kind of more in the back lines with Tree and basically summoning as many allies as he could. Probably pulling from his the Adventurers Guild back in Faerun that he established.
We had the realization of Cardan's probably, with the additional experience he's gained and the outside knowledge, he's possibly more intelligent now than the queens are. The queens are very... all of his species are very following their natural instincts rather than actually thinking outside of the box. So a queen would register, there is one of my warriors, they need support, open gate, send troops. Wouldn't question why or where. And once they were there, they would use, as a hive mind, they would use Corridan's understanding of who are allies, who are enemies, to determine who to fight.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what I was kind of trying to build it towards. So Corridan had formed a bond with Cirrus, he'd formed a bond with Nim, and he'd formed a bond with Element. And as we progressed the third season even... I'm cold. As we progressed the third season, I would have tried to strengthen those bonds and expand them to the rest of the party. So that he would have viewed all of them as almost this comrade level of this is the new hive, this is the new bond, and so through him the less intelligent drones and warriors that had come to his aid would identify, these are allies, that's the big bad over there, go and attack the big bad.
That sounds pretty
So
cool.
basically, Corridan is Sarah Kerrigan?
Don't get that.
How dare you?
You don't get that reference?
No.
Fucking
Starcraft.
Mary
You don't know
bitch.
You don't know StarCraft?
No.
Sarah
Oh.
Kerrigan.
I know they've got those
the
cool
queen of the
tripod ships.
Zerg. The swarm.
I've never looked at StarCraft as a game. I only
Wow.
know it from memes.
Now that I have never looked at StarCraft either.
Fair
Yes,
enough.
but even if you only know it from memes, you should know who the
I-
hell Sarah Kerrigan is.
As far as the meme, I know that they have those kind of cool ships that are tripods, that are kind of like an oval with with 3 legs.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
know the
all I know about StarCraft is those exist in it.
I know the Zerg are an unrelenting force, and the blue guys kind of look like Space Marines.
Guys.
Hang on. Do you know you know at least like Warhammer 40K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Zerg in StarCraft are very similar to the Tyrannid.
Okay.
Are the blue
Except
guys very similar to the Space Marines?
very much not so.
Oh, okay.
They are far squishier than a Space Marine.
Okay, so does someone want to explain the reference, or I've completely derailed from where we were with this, by the way.
Yeah, we should probably not.
Thought process has gone. I need someone to say where we
Yeah,
were.
we should go back to, get back on
You-
track here.
You were,
Rally
you were,
the swarm. Or
you were fin-
rally the hive.
yeah, you were finished explaining that you wanted to bond with the rest of the party over
Yes,
season 3, so that the rest of your kind will see them as allies.
Yeah, over the next season, I wanted to expand on the bonds that we already had with Nim, Element, and Cirrus, and strengthen them, and of course expand them to the rest of the group. But eventually, it would have been that Cordan would recognize them clearly as, these are my allies. This is my new. Here's the cheesy bit. This is my new family. This is my new hive. This is a strange city, but it does all kind of work together when it needs to. And there was going to be a lot of revelations and actually participating and then building up confidence and stuff. But eventually, when he calls out a desperate call for help, and the hive answers, his old hive answers, they would have used that telepathic link of a hive mind to go, right, this is the warrior on scene. This is a superior one, mana boosted. This is a oh, what's the fucking word? Something like a Praetorian, some higher ranking warrior, and then they would have automatically used, right, what's his knowledge on the situation, would have seen, Stivus, Element, everyone else around them. These are allies. These are hive. This is what we are protecting. Don't attack everything else around us, because this is all friendly. That's the specific enemies over there. Let's go get them. And he would have been able to possibly direct them a bit, but mostly he was there to make sure they didn't attack anyone else. And once the situation was resolved, then it would have been up to Cordan to direct them back through the portal and potentially go through to sort out the queens and make sure nothing else happens and comes through again. Cordan would eventually return, and had the end game of, he'd probably end up taking control of his hive back in his other world, linking up with, he remembers where the tree of that world is, and potentially returning to Ravnica via tree, with the intention of, sharing experiences, learning still, and doing things the right way this time. And guiding his hive of lawful evil fucking monsters into being something less destructive and more productive.
He might even make a new breed in his hive of specialized builders for handling more advanced and delicate things.
Yes. Rather than just a hammer for every single encounter and problem. Having more specialized tools for dealing with things like diplomacy, rather than we want those resources. Let's eat everything over there.
Nom
Yes.
nom nom.
Nom nom nom.
I believe
Nom
you're also
nom is
making
not
plans
particularly
to.
efficient.
I believe you're also making plans to recultivate despoiled worlds.
Quite possibly. It would take much
I mean-
time and research, but there are infinite worlds, and he's pretty sure he could persuade Tree to assist him.
Well, as long as he's good, and I bet he's a good talker, then yes! Especially since Tree is pretty easy to find now.
Yeah. With of course he would ask for Nim's permission. The first thing he'd do is ask Tree to get to relay him to Nim to get Nim's permission for all of this.
Yep.
Because after all, Tree is Nim's child. And you do not mess with Tree unless you ask for Nim's permission.
Exactly.
Yes. And of course, there would be throughout the campaign a low running what's the word, advertising campaign going on with between Corridan and is it engineers and researchers and everyone who, time is money. Time is a valuable resource that things like eating takes up quite a lot of time during that you might be spent doing other things.
Yeah.
Save a feast for the celebration at the end of a long project rather than throughout the entire session, throughout the entire campaign, Corridan was going to be advertising Grey
Yep.
as a
They,
valuable and time economically what's the word? A good
Time
food for
efficient.
researchers. Time efficient. There we go. Thank you. And they can go out and they can eat and they can celebrate after the deadline.
yes.
But during the deadline, everything they need to consume is in this one block.
New tree block. It's gray, and it takes off.
Wait,
Yes.
isn't Nim gonna declare war on Corridan for trying to sell
It would have
Grey?
been he wouldn't be selling Grey, he'd be selling the recipe of Grey.
It doesn't
No,
matter. You're trying to
no.
spread the existence of Grey. I think Nim would
It
declare
would
war
it,
on you.
I was 100% gunning for it to be spread as fast as possible between the researchers, especially in the Izzet, where they are heavily fortified and dug in.
The Civic
And also
and
to
the
the point
Orzhov
where it would
will
get
also
so.
purchase this.
Yes, and the Orzhov and anyone else.
No,
and get it so numerous that eventually even Nim wouldn't be able to cauterize the spread of it fast enough, because by that point it would be everywhere.
Nim would concede the value of this thing. However, before Corridan can do this, Nim would offer to try and make something that at least has taste.
Of course, we were thinking about
Then call
giving it
Grey
taste.
Plus.
Yes. Get them hooked on the idea of Grey, and then you can sell them anything else.
It's kind of, oh, I get it. It'd kind of be like putting seasoning on like a brick of ramen.
Yes.
The thing is, adding anything else to the mixture could compromise the whole. It will exist for 1,000 years, like stored in a damp place and not rot.
It's like the discovery of salt.
No, you don't understand. You can just make like the seasoning for it a separate thing.
Like a separate package. Like when you get like when you get instant noodles and it's like the
Yes,
little
that's why
packet
I
of
made
seasoning
that
is separate.
reference. That's why I made that reference.
Yes.
Recipes of gray. Because if we can't get rid of it, we might as well make it more pleasant.
Yep.
The idea is to
Gray,
get it to
it's
spread
finally
fast enough
palatable.
in the quiet communities that don't really talk to the outside world much. Like all of those researchers that just hole away in their labs for great deals of time. And get it popular enough amongst them to not only, get used to eating it, but also realize the research value of, hey, our efficiency has increased. Like, we're no longer taking breaks to go out and eat like a variety of things. We're getting all of our vitamins, minerals, etc. from this one grey block.
The 50
When the
tastes
gray
of gray.
It doesn't taste of grey, it tastes of nothing.
When the gray caved
It
into
tastes like
Ravnica.
air with the texture of plasticine.
I can guarantee you that considering that people have to flavor water because they get bored of drinking it constantly, and water is like good water is pretty much a tasteless thing. It gets boring real goddamn quick.
It'll sell.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if
But
it can
this
keep
is
you
also
alive
this
for
is also
1,000 years.
towards the sort of people who would eat maybe a sandwich and then work solidly for 14 hours and then maybe take a drink of water.
Fair.
All right.
Like the hardcore researchers that have never left the Izzet Tower ever.
Anything
I
else?
feel like the Izzet would be the main buyers.
Yeah. The Izzet, and then it possibly spread to a couple of other places if we give them spice packs. No, that is both the main thing with Corridan, his mana abilities, and the underlying thing that I was going to be doing for shenanigans reasons throughout the entire campaign.
Yep. I will ask Cyrus to go next.
Yes.
Go, Owl.
Watch me stumble now. Well, all things considered, plenty was planned for the Owlin. Well, I suppose it can still play out in its own fashion. Namely, one of those being attempting to properly resummon Ruvicin. Because, after all, I'm sure it would help greatly to have Moladeus as opposed to the gerbil. Well, whether the party is aware or not, it would only be a small price of a soul. But hey, details. With that said, playing a little bit further with the more positive relationship with a demon than most. Later on, also working in extra details, including perhaps one of the things I would entertain greatly. A capacity and mana ability to also become a Moladeus alongside Ruvicin for a time.
Yeah.
After all, a few terms of contract can change if, well, what's a soul if you have just straight up an additional demon instead? And down to my notes because I am already stumbling.
That's fine. You had a lot of thoughts about how you'd contribute in the battle.
Oh yes, but that's not even this. The battle. That's not even the prior up to. Considering, of course, the original plan to lean into the Golgari side of things as well. They were quite fitting for what Cirrus was already angled into as a
Indeed.
druid of spores, favoring a natural process and quite vehemently against the plan of the Seekers. After all, well, that's hardly life and death. Oscillating it back and forth unnaturally and just shaking it, that doesn't work. And instead, hoping to assist in rallying the Golgari a little bit, especially because that just simply won't fly. Further along, well, the transformation business would certainly continue. There's absolutely no reason to stop that. If anything, to amplify it with the proper summoning of Ruvicin. And, well, I'm sure the Rakdos wouldn't mind seeing a higher level demon amidst their ranks. After all, I'm sure the fellow who was talking about jokingly tormenting the little gerbil, if they were terrified to learn what they were, oh, I'm sure the Rakdos would have some interest in that.
Very much so.
And, consequently, there would also be some experiments with those polymorph teeth. I'm sure the Rakdos can have plenty of uses for it, and some stress testing of its capacities, abilities, and all could follow. And, with that information, just make NFT just a little bit safer. No, not the nonsense one. This is nearly free transformations here.
Yeah. You start quite the lucrative business.
And from there, expanding even further. But all in due time. All of that said, perhaps even poking
Go
with
for
the
the eyes,
mana
fool!
abilities.
Go for the eyes! Rask!
An ethereal influence.
Oh.
Continue. I'll see what this is about.
Alrighty, though. If I may, and I apologize, just to check, do the mana abilities that I threw in DMs line up well enough?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because, with that established, the stealth ability that the owl had perchance unlocked could see itself an improvement to elude even true sight down the line. Which, considering the broad area of effect spells available later down, well, just imagine floating undetected, just absent to the world, calling down large-scale storms upon the foe, in the backlines and unable to simply find the source.
That sounds terrifying.
Okay, that would have been pretty good.
Oh, yes. Just simply existing, and from seemingly nowhere, no casters in range that could possibly be there. Nothing in the sky, nothing above, even a clear day. And suddenly, flame erupts. Hailstorms arise. Absolute hurricanes build. as though the world itself simply rejects their presence.
Hell
But not truly so. Yet, only one facet of that, because hilariously, I leaned a little further in. After all, druids are to look after nature, and that would see itself further with the druids. Druid of the Spores reaching something of a culmination of simply reinforcing what is already there, with an additional mana ability for improving the present druid groves to last longer, take a little bit less energy to establish, and well, I'm sure with time the iron thorns could be managed, and they would make fine guards.
Yes,
Oh my god, you took
eventually.
seeds.
Eventually, after careful breeding, there would be a strain that he could make by transplanting some of the genes from the awakened shrub into an iron thorn that would receive orders and understand them.
And, well,
The awakened shrub
Sure.
we named Neat.
That is correct. That is the one.
Yes, the
That
shrub
is the
named
one I am
me.
referring to. That is.
Thank you for bringing the
With
little
his
fellow
4
along.
points.
A wonderful coincidence.
Oh, certainly, but just imagine nice little safe havens along the back lines, places to resist even storms or area of effect spells. Just something for. I'm sure it'll be plenty sufficient as places to heal and manage and command from. And just popping up along the lines. And at a greater rate than expected. Because for a final ability, looking into something of an epitome of nature of sorts. To grow and balance. Taking it a step further with what the Druid of Spores fungal body ability would do of enhancing resilience, but also establishing a nearly perfect life cycle to, well, live a little longer, heal a little better, and at its peak, even duplicate. After all, it's terrifying enough to imagine one owl, let alone two, or perhaps more with time.
Ruvikin would also be increasingly fond of his owl, and perhaps even change some of his abilities to be a bit more in line with cooperative effects with Cyrus, including the aforementioned turning him into a Mollydaeus. Very likely after Cyrus actually manages to summon him for real. In a soul-binding contract where he has to serve him even past death.
Ah, absolutely interesting.
Turns out, Ruvigan really likes Cyrus. He's just very tsundere about it.
And at the very least, everything, of course, would promptly turn quite well for the rebuilding following the battle. To restore perhaps a little more wildland to the place. Just, after all, the Gruul have had it hard enough. It's only fair to give a little bit back to what it should be to balance. And well, with time, I'm sure we'll be able to resurrect enough of the fallen from the battle. So much potential to things, especially with the little side businesses. And after all, it was only playing it safe that NFT started as it was with the nearly free transformations. That was simply the safest avenue for all of that.
So it's going to be changed to nearly forced transformations?
Oh, no. They'll still remain nearly free. After all, that's relatively easy. And with all of the time, all of the experiments, if you will, because the Rakdos, well, you throw anything at them, they'll find all of the weaknesses and all of the limits, and perhaps even break some of them. Absolutely perfect for extending beyond playing it safe. Plenty of options of entertainment, or even simply a new life, perhaps. It won't just simply be a simple place to relax any further. It will grow. Oh, a small shame it won't be seen, but at the very least, with time, it would be its own reality.
All right. Shall we move to the next?
Yes. Who would like to go next?
I figured we could just go in order around the table here.
Fair enough.
So, Graham.
Don't teach my hamster to suck eggs.
Wait, what do you mean,
Well-
Graham? It'd be Elman next, wouldn't it?
Just going in the circle here.
Go with Graham.
The one on the stream.
Okay.
So, Graham would have very likely have had his mana, used his mana abilities to enhance the relics of his family, which he certainly would have taken into battle with him after kind of, I guess. Hey, I lost my train of thought so goddamn fast. All right, I'll start again.
Yes, go ahead.
So, Graham, probably before the final battle, would have put in a significant amount of effort to essentially become the head of his family, seeing it for having kind of lost its way, and ultimately he kind of wants to try to redeem people if he sees that as an option rather than destroying them, especially after he kind of got over some of his anger issues and back to kind of what he was trying to do before he lost his way within the party for a while. And if he could, he would have very likely have tried to even save his father, so that who would have almost certainly have been heading towards mana corruption, seeing him redeeming himself and doing good from doing good things and kind of would be a far more not necessarily a punishment, but it would be, it would help make up far more for the things he did than his death would. And before the final battle, he would have likely have used his family's relics, the scarf, which would let someone would let someone basically negate mana abilities, and the sword that just did terrible things to the mana corrupted. And he probably would have used his mana to enhance those relics when they were in his hand, and had the relics themselves be like the scarf, which basically blocked mana abilities and spells and things like that, and at an equal cost, and had it so that way he could reflect spells back with a kind of something similar to magic missile, but on a far more devastating scale of basically, instead of a small bolt of force magic, it would be basically copies of his chosen weapon, which at the time would have been the mana sword, the I'm just gonna call it the corruption killer, Ash's sword.
Yeah, go ahead.
And he would have also likely have had enough for probably his final ability. He would have had. He probably would have had it so that way if he did a smite with the sword against someone who possessed mana, that it would interfere or or potentially negated their abilities.
Completely acceptable. Do not underestimate the power of a true artifact. Especially when you can contact the patron that they are still connected to, and yes, as they are still living beings, their properties can be altered. That is the unique properties of the Ashfell and Snowfall grand artifacts, or true artifacts.
And then after the battle, he would have likely had his family actually, depending on how things worked out with Demir, he would have with Cray's family, since he knew Cray was talking about basically taking over his own family as well, and
Yes.
basically had his family kind of join the Demir to help keep the balance of Ravnica and be a lot further away from the corruption that kind of led them astray to begin with. That was the Orzhov. And I think that. Oh wait. And as he did like Elena, he probably would have tried to convince her to come with him as a new member of the Snowfalls.
He'd be happy to accept if flustered by the indirect proposal.
And I think that's about everything that I can think of at the moment.
They don't need to be drawn out. They just have to be satisfying for the. Who's next?
Well, I guess since we're going around the table, Kerr, do you have any ideas for what you'd want to do?
Unfortunately, he had the least time to get things
Yeah.
working with. But I did talk with him, and we did have some ideas. Kurt? Kurt?
Are you muted?
He's not muted on Discord.
Oh no.
Ah,
Well, we can come back to him.
alrighty.
Digi, I did send you some messages. Are those okay?
They are perfectly valid. So
Okay.
yes, I accept.
I'm not really certain about how he gets Shenzi out. Brings
Well-
Shenzi back. So I thought that would
I
be
could
up
explain
to you.
that if you'd like.
Well, first
Turns
off,
out... that's right.
I'll go ahead and go with what Nim had in mind. Well, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
Alright. Turns out, you had most of Shenzi's soul. Unfortunately, some of it got scattered, and that prevented her from maintaining her presence or any level of consciousness, making it harder to find her. But eventually, through your adventures and growing in strength, and diving into the whirlpool and breaking it apart, you could find what you had of her. And using it, you could find the rest scattered across the plane. And with it finally realized, and with a true resurrection spell, you could revive Shenzi. Admittedly, it would take some adventures and quite a bit of preparation.
Something we sadly didn't have the time to get into.
Unfortunately. Turns out, very often, her soul had been found into artifacts of other necromancers who were using her as basically a catalyst, or at least a fragment, thinking she was some grand aspect of death they'd gotten their hands on. However, to get your best friend back, they were turned into hamburger.
Well, yeah, no sense in wasting the meat.
Exactly. But they
Granted,
also had to pay for messing with her soul, also.
Yeah, of course. Justice.
Of course, justice and dinner. Anyway, you may proceed with the rest now that I have informed you its details.
Well, as Nim gets her back together, brings her back, he basically, at the end of everything, they would take, I think one last little adventure for Shenzi and Nim are in order, right, Shenzi?
Anytime, bestest friend.
So they'll go off to Faerun and go kill a dragon. Since
If you'll
apparently-
remember, Cray found an active black dragon's lair when he was collecting the for Silver's vest.
Yep.
Yes. And that's the one they go and kill. Nim and
Especially
Shenzi
because-
together again. With Silver, of course.
Especially because Nim was so disappointed there were no dragons that he was allowed to kill and eat on Ravnica because Niv Nizzet already beat him to that.
Yeah. But that's why we've got Faerun. But basically, Nim would spend a few years with Shenzi, and they would build a luxury inn resort. They would acquire Kray's backyard neighbor's house, and
Everyone that Raylil had purchased and subsequently not used for anything.
yeah, they would also acquire those other houses around Kray's house, and basically demolish them all to build a giant tavern, a giant inn. So congratulations, Kray, you no longer have any sunlight.
This is rather ironic. And you're gonna see why it's ironic when it comes around to my turn.
Oh boy. So
Don't worry, you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Basically a U-shaped inn resort surrounding Tree and Kray's house. And Nim is part of his mana training, which he would share with Shenzi. And also Silver. They basically figure out how to exist in every plane at once, with guidance from Tree.
What?
Tree is very happy to share her quantum reality aspects. It takes very precise mana control to basically spread that, though, without them imploding across every universe.
Well, Nim wants to build one of these luxury inn resorts on every plane of existence. And of course, he's going to need to be able to manage all of those. So, of course, he had to figure out how to exist in every plane of existence. And he couldn't do it without his best friend forever. Both of them. And so, yeah, all three of them now retire from their adventuring and have this wonderful inn, surrounding Tree on every plane. Of course, giving Tree a very nice little courtyard garden area in the middle. You know, gotta make sure she's well taken care of. And it also acts as a little bit of a guard for her, even though, you know, she's plenty capable herself. Nim still cares and wants to make sure she's okay.
Especially with the power of infinite mana flowing through her.
Yeah.
Multiple sources of infinite mana, I might add.
Yes.
She has
yes.
every color. She's a big girl now.
She's just like, I don't. Oh, you trying to destroy me? I cast death on your reality.
Yes, yes. But Nim will still not give up trying to protect his daughter.
Nim's building this tavern around 3 sides, right?
Yes.
What about the 4th side?
This
Well-
also means Shenzi is mama.
Yes, Shenzi is mama.
Because Corridan kind of had ideas of having a little base camp next to Tree, so he could go visit everybody.
Well,
Tree's
Corridan
very
just
happy
has
to
a
have
perm. Corridan simply
And
has
also
a
possibly
permanent
make a
room.
portal.
Corridan simply has a permanent room in the inn.
Ah,
Yeah,
problem solved.
one of the royal ones.
Turns out that in many planes, after becoming all-powerful, Tree has become an object of worship in many of the realms.
I remember she mentioning that on our last session.
So Shenzi, how do you feel about being a mama?
Who thought that was a good idea?
You're also mama to a Yggdrasil treant.
Interesting. It's
As long as the treant likes me. Sometimes they think I stink like death, and they think that I'm mean.
Nah.
I'm not
It's
mean. I'll
okay.
give him a hug.
Let me put it this way. Shenzi would not be a pariah for being a necromancer in Ravnica because there's an entire guild that is nothing but necromancers, basically. Necromancy is just like a normal day job in Ravnica.
yeah. They're the ones that splice dead things together to create other abominations. So
New friends.
Yeah. All of the friends.
Shenzi would make a great Golgari.
Join me.
Now we gotta. I want to role play the actual scene of introducing Shenzi to Tree, though.
Yes. But there is also Element. There's
Yes.
You can
and
you
Craig.
can you can do the scene before me if you like. I
It
don't
won't
mind.
take long, I think. So
You
Nim's
are
going. Very shortly after Shenzi is brought back, Nim's going to be like, "So you want to meet your daughter?"
What?
Yeah, we've got a daughter.
We do?
Yeah, she's
yes,
out
I
here.
would love to meet her. Where is she? Take me to her. I'm so excited.
And Nim leads the way outside to Tree. So, Shenzi, this is Tree. Tree, this is Shenzi, my bestest friend forever.
At this point, I do believe that it would be pre-final battles, so Tree right now is a treant. A very big one, but a treant. Hello, Papa.
Hi,
Who is
Tree.
Hi,
he?
Tree.
This is your mama.
I am going to give Tree a big hug. A big, like, squeezy, and stretch my arms as far as I can around her and give her the biggest hug ever.
Does Mama what happened?
Sorry, what was that?
Does Mama what happened?
Sure.
We will lean down and produce to you a meaty apple.
Meaty apple?
It may taste like cooked ham.
Basically,
I will
it has the
taste the
textures of
apple and look a little confused, and then look very happy and thank Tree.
Yeah. This Mama has soul like Papa. Wait, no. Papa has soul that is a little. What is this? Tree is confused. Tree is.
well, Shenzi was kind of inside me for a while. And I had to
I don't
regather her.
understand.
Because you really
Tree.
meant it when you said you were my bestest friend forever.
Well, yeah. I don't make promises lightly. And that was the biggest oath of all.
I'm glad we get to be together again. You'll have to tell me everything that happened.
Oh, happily. There's been a lot. And you gotta meet everybody else, too. But we'll get to that after we go kill a dragon.
Okay.
This is good family. I like this. Yes, good. Yes, good.
And I think the dragon thing will be after killing, after the big final confrontation.
Makes sense.
They just walk up to the black dragon. It's like, you picked a bad day to be on the menu.
Who the fuck are dies?
Unleashes mana abilities upon the dragon.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
But yeah, that was basically it for Nim. Nim and Shenzi and Silver all retire and run the, from adventuring at least, and run the inn resort and make all of the friends. And of course, it's not just for the rich and the richy rich. They have spots and stuff for the for the commoners and such. Nim doesn't want to exclude anyone.
Can we also host weddings for other bestest friends forever? That would be incredible.
Oh yeah, and we can help them consummate their marriages too.
Yay!
Oh my god.
Okay, somebody clip that. I do not mind needing to go in and get that sent to post. That is a reference to the old Furry campaign. Neither of them understand what consummate actually means, because nobody explained it to them at any point.
We genuinely thought it was consume.
We thought it
Somebody
was just
eventually
hiding.
corrected us
Yes.
and said consummate, and so we were trying to find people to help us do that, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it for Nim for now. Now on to Cray.
All right. In the aftermath of the battle with Alant, Cray would continue his pursuits into rising within the Demir with the intent of overthrowing the position that his mother holds as a guild leader. He would pursue this somewhat recklessly until he had the position in his grasp. For, from his point of view, the Demir had been operating from a lackluster set of standards.
With his boss, certainly.
Morath and Merrick would probably start supporting him once they became aware of his goals.
Once in a position of power within the Demir, there would be a mass exodus of individuals who Cray would find to be unworthy of the Demir and just generally incompetent. And by raising the standards of the Demir, he would hopefully start to put together a force of, well, again, just more competent acting Demir agents who would be much, much more renowned and feared by Ravnica as a whole. In the events of this, he would very much, with open arms, welcome the Snowfell.
Yay! Although they would probably be like, you know what? If the Demir needs to take care of someone with like mana powers, or they're a planeswalker or some shit, we'll take care of them. Don't worry.
So long as the Snowfell, of course, could display their own usefulness to Cray, he would always have a place for them. As
That-
Cray...
I was just gonna say that actually sounds kind of sweet.
As Cray continued to grow his power and grasp within the Demir, he would eventually begin to form trades of information specifically with the Azurius, out of signs of good faith, having deceived them for so many years. Through these trades of information, he would try to likewise expose much of the corruption that is within the Azurius, I'm sorry, not the Azurius, but the Orzhov. That enough so that the Azurius could act and hopefully impose some sanctions on the Orzhov and reduce their availability to criminal activities.
Rein in the Orzhov a little bit, basically.
Basically. Cray, being ever stubborn in his pursuit of the mana, would use his mana ability for finding information to explore what he could do with his mana and to seek out things that others perhaps had not done or ways to grow by himself as much as he possibly could. Assuming that he would be successful in such endeavors, eventually Cray would be nearly like a ghost to most people, where those who could even stare at him when he was using his mana abilities could forget that he was even standing there.
Standing there, menace.
Truly becoming Ren's pupil.
Throughout all of it, Cray would continue to keep an eye on all of his companions and what they would choose to do once they had all started to part ways, making sure that none of them decided to do anything untoward towards Ravnica as a whole. In this time of transition and Cray's chase for power, and to refocus the Dimir and orient them as, in a way, almost informants to the Azurius, Nim would get a letter from Cray.
Nim.
It looks like he stepped
Sorry,
away
I
for a
stepped
second.
away for a sec. Nim will
There
read
he
the
is.
letter.
Addressed to Nim Otar Bonechop. Dear Nim, as a good friend of mine, I will be gone for some time, working on improving Ravnica and my guild in the best ways that I can. As such, I decided to leave you with a gift. Since I will not be around as much as I wish to be, I will give you that which you have already so lovingly made your own. And as such, the house of mine that lays in the center of Ravnica shall become yours. Please make sure to use the library to educate yourselves on many of the historical facts of Ravnica, and do feel free to make yourself comfortable with the protections I have put in place there. I hope it will remain a safe place for you and any other friends that you decide to invite into it. Signed, Cray.
Aww.
Oh.
So unfortunately, sir, you don't get any sunlight.
The Uno reverse card.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
As Cray's pursuits would continue and as time would pass, Cray would eventually start to slip from the memories of even those who knew him, as he would further and further go into magics that could warp the mind and make him a ghost. The only of which, most likely, who would not be affected by this, would be Nim, which, at some point, Cray would begin to visit regularly for tea.
Tree remembers. Tree always remembers.
Well, like I established earlier, Nim kind of stores away a lot of what he learns with his Marten phone. But Nim would very happily share some tea, talk about the tavern and inn. He would happily introduce Cray to Shenzi. So at that point, you probably would have already met Shenzi.
Right. Probably.
And I guess Shenzi and Nim can live in the house while, they got their home that's detached from the inn, and then they got work right next door.
And did I hear there's a library in there too?
There is. On the second floor.
I wonder if it's anything like my childhood library.
Nim can introduce Shenzi to the joys of all the click-clacks he's stored under the pillows.
Oh,
All
yeah.
the pillows. All
We-
of the
we-
click-clack.
We do have a map of the library.
Oh my god.
And you are in Fantasy Ground, so go ahead and bring up Cray's house map, Digi. Enja.
One last time. One last time. Oh,
Yay!
Should be specifically the second floor.
Yeah, bring up both.
Okay. Yeah, Shenzi's probably going to enjoy
One more
walking
time,
into the
yeah.
house for the first time.
Oh, Shenzi was brought back inside the house.
Right, but was it ever explained that the first room of the house is just pillows?
No.
Whoa.
As the
behold!
gajillion pillows.
Oh my god, those are a lot of pillows. Oh, that is heavenly.
And there are many mechanical keyboards underneath them.
Cray's home exists as basically just pillows.
Well, the first floor does. And a room on the second floor.
And you can see Tree in the backyard, or at least part of Tree.
Okay.
No, that's tree.
Well,
Oh,
it was
I see.
tree former. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that's
they became the
baby
world
tree.
Baby tree.
And yes,
about
there
the,
are many mechanical keyboards that Nim calls clicky clacks. They are hidden underneath the pillows, so when you walk around, there's, the sound of mechanical keyboards being pressed.
Oh my god.
Nim liked the sound of it, so he stashed them all over.
Cordan does still not understand the reasoning behind this.
Of course, this is just the first story.
Oh, Zork, technically
well,
Nim gave himself
We will
keyboards.
we'll answer those questions
yes.
in a bit. We will have a
Apologies.
Q&A for the session for the group after this. We just want to get through all of this real quick.
And how you have the second story?
Enja,
And yeah.
we need the second story.
There you go.
It is not working for me. There we go. Taking its sweet
There
time.
it is.
There you can
It's-
see the guest bedrooms, the bathroom, and the library.
And the room that's also filled with pillows, that's where Korn lives, who is a artificer like Naga, who after nearly dying, locked himself, filled the room wall to wall, floor to ceiling with pillows, and lived there.
Oh no,
Can't
he
blame him.
actually did die. He got brought back.
Yes.
Yes, I still kind of call that nearly dying.
He is
'Cause
also
it
He
Cray's
wasn't
didn't
slave.
permanent.
He nearly stayed dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is also Cray's
I-
slave.
Yes, he
I
is
will
technically
state
Cray's slave.
he's not technically a slave.
He's an
I believe one of those
indentured
rooms
servant,
has.
which is basically a slave.
I believe one of those rooms has Corridan's chest in it as well, and some of his other effects.
But as a side note regarding Korn, he would not be there when the house would be handed over, as Cray would have had him removed from the house, and would have him, for lack of a better word, tested on by Demir agents to see if he could remove the memory of him dying to rehabilitate him.
Yes.
Oh God.
No one said Cray was a great person.
I had
Just
hope.
because you are a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy.
Cray isn't bad, he's just not good.
Yeah. This works the other way. Just because you are a good guy doesn't mean you are a good guy.
Yeah, I should state, like, as Cray kind of gains power in the Demir, he kind of just makes the Demir more an agent for the Azurius. He doesn't actually make the Demir more, he doesn't give it more solidarity. Instead, he tries to spite his parents and the purpose of why he was made by giving more power to the Azurius.
So Shenzi,
And
what do
they
you
are
think of?
furious.
You're probably very furious. So Shenzi, what
Well,
do
one
you
of
think
them's
of the
been
library?
overthrown.
I think it's a lovely little library, and I can't wait for us to add more to it.
I think it needs clicky clacks.
Oh yeah, and you can show them the master bedroom as well.
I don't
With the
know
balcony.
if I don't know if Nim would feel comfortable going in there for quite a while.
Mayho!
That is beautiful.
I never got to see this room. This would have been a little easier to tell as abnormal from the other bedrooms. Well, either way, I was
There's an
shown in
orb.
there. Oh, and to think Ren just let me in there.
Again, Ren doesn't like Cray's mom at all. He was probably doing it mostly to piss her off.
I mean, hell, he'd probably also support Crane becoming the new leader of the Demir.
Oh, he'd happily offer Ren reinstatement.
Sure, he wouldn't mind. It's not difficult work after all, and hell, looks like things are gonna get shaken up. Might as well watch just to see how much it grinds her teeth into dust. Just because he's not gonna kill her doesn't mean he can't enjoy watching her. I said I wouldn't kill you. That doesn't mean I like you.
If she didn't want to get overthrown, she should have had stronger individuals that were protecting the Demir.
Yeah. Or maybe don't get so jealous that you try to murder your colleague.
Or, maybe don't have kids with the sole intention of training them to be mindless individuals that you are trying to overthrow the central form of government with.
Also that, it's a myriad of bad ideas.
But yeah, in response to the parents being furious, one of them is overthrown and the other one is just part of the Orzhov.
Yep.
He's got a lot of money. That's all he's got going for him. A lot of money can't track down the shadow government.
Yeah, especially if you throw the Ashfells and the Snowfalls into the mix of like being like enforcers for Cray and the Demir.
Especially since Cray gives away his house knowing he'll be hunted.
Yeah.
By the way, good luck with that name.
Especially when the Ashfells, again, they excel at hunting people with really strong mana.
They may excel at that. However, while Nim thinks he's protecting Tree's gonna be able to protect him. And they may be experts at that, but Tree is literally a god.
Ever since Raylo threw all the fused mana right into her, and admittedly, no one else is gonna get those again, and she's running them.
You're breaking out for me, Digi.
Oh, alright. Well, admittedly, it's true that no one's gonna get their hands on them ever again, and she is doing a good job circulating.
Circulating?
Yeah, she is putting mana back into Ravnica. She is emitting it.
Okay.
Which of course means if they come after Nim, she literally can just be like, no, you get no mana.
Basically, yes, she is the god of the new world.
That's Nim and Shenzi's daughter.
Anyways, I think that ties up about most of the story beats I had for Corey. Unless anyone wanted any interactions with him, I'll pass it over to Element.
There'll be interactions in a bit.
Then Element.
Where do I start? Could you help me with this, DG?
Sure. Are you forgetting something?
I'm just not sure where to start.
Well, you would eventually become a better commander, and ask Okasa to formally be your team.
Yes. Element never actually got an actual mana teacher in during the course of the campaign. So I've been thinking who should be his teacher, and well, I kind of decided that in the end it probably should be Okasa, even though their temperaments are kind of the opposite of each other. Because Element actually does look up to his commander because of how powerful he is. Element wants to gain that kind of power to be able to protect those he care about, and just Miss.
Well, through your training, it seems like Gokasa is a lot more mature and wise than he lets on.
Yeah.
He just enjoys being brash and reckless.
Yeah.
Graham saw that a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of saw a little bit of that with Graham's interaction with Ukasa. That was honestly really nice.
It seems that he does have reasons for being the way he is and doing what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He even goes to explain more of his abilities for you. It turns out that coming back stronger is not his final.
It isn't, huh? What is it
No.
then?
That one, he says, can't be seen by a friend. Because when he goes to his final form, everything dies.
Oh.
As in, he is quite serious. Everything within a 500-meter radius is marked for death. Either by him or he dies. And he said it will be nothing short of a genocide. So I can't let you see it.
Oh, I see now.
That is why I go alone.
Now it all makes sense. That is very clever of you, DG. Well, when it comes to Element and Calceru, well, Element will keep going down the path, or basically using his mana ability to basically have Calceru be able to manifest more and more in Ratica and to combine their powers more and more efficiently.
Yep. Eventually, Calceru will be able to come through completely, entirely conjured in Ravnik, with a bonus. If Calceru is struck down, he just pops right back to the plane of death. And, with a summoning cost, he can be brought back again, good as new. Literally immortal dragon.
Ooh, so Nim can hunt him multiple times.
Unfortunately, he evaporates like a familiar.
So Element does. So we never really get to actually take him out of the plane of death.
He's still tied there, but he is out.
I guess that's something.
It's good enough, and you can be a dragon too.
Yeah.
By literally taking every aspect of him, there can be a dragon.
Yes. Every time Element fuses with Calceru, the part that he borrows from Calceru basically becomes draconic. So once his full mana has been fully mastered, Element basically becomes a dragonborn, or
just an actual dragon. You could be as big as him and just a literal dragon wielding a greatsword. It's a little clumsy, but it can take some getting used to.
So now Nim hunts Element. Got it.
If he so chooses, but Tree might say naughty.
And well, when it comes to Element's subordinates, Element is eventually able to get through to them and actually get them to learn to be actual Boros instead of being the incompetent fools that they have been.
And eventually, more people are assigned under Element, more misfits and people on their last chance. But this time, the misfits keep them in line and find their strengths and bring up their shortcomings. So, Element does become a respectable and worthy commander with a platoon of subordinates that of varying competence, but they're good when it counts. It's the Misfits Squad. And that could become its own campaign, really.
That sounds fun, honestly.
Oh, the glorious goofballs.
Glorious goofballs.
Don't worry, just send them my way. We'll use the polymorph teeth and get them experience in fighting plenty of things.
Oh,
You know that is a good contract for business. Just use polymer teeth to turn people into dangerous creatures for us to fight.
I mean, that's where the Rakdos would be intrigued and provide me my testing.
That's a
There's many applications to this.
that is a wonderful business venture.
Make me wonder if we could get some mandibles of a warrior case and see if it works the same way as polymorph.
Did I miss anything? I think that was pretty much it.
I also think that was basically it.
Yeah.
Caltero's still desperately trying to find Element a date and maybe a wife.
And Element doesn't really pay attention to that. Unfortunately for Calcero, even after becoming commander.
Continue the lineage, my guy! Continue.
Well, shall we move to the final part then?
What about her?
Kerr, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Oh,
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Very good.
so, have you had any thoughts about your epilogue? We did have some thoughts, Bradley, about.
Nothing really concrete at all.
Well, you did become Tree's champion in the end, and even with some time shenanigans, fought a former version of yourself and overcame your worst weakness. You are a mighty man, strong enough to fight and destroy Phyrexian. Plus, it does seem that the suit has powerful protective properties from mental influence.
Then he would probably just go wherever Tree told him to go next.
I suppose you would stay Tree's champion.
Ah, so you would always remember Cray, and you can always remember your boyfriend. Cray, no response.
What response is warranted?
Fair.
Like, you're not wrong.
Well, anything else for Hootsafa?
Unfortunately, we didn't really have a lot of time with them.
Yeah, that's the big
Yeah.
issue. We didn't have time with him at all. So I wasn't able to set anything up.
Yeah.
I am really sad. I am really sad for you, Kerr. I had fun on our last session with you and Elamine having their fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wizards just decided to go no.
Well,
The only thing I'd add to it is that Merrick continues to work for the Demir while Morath enjoys a home life with Poison Grandma, and Lute enjoys having a strange but wholesome family. Poison Grandma really never gets better, so to say. She's still her crazy old self. She doesn't kill people, just an occasional misadventure. Just
don't
one, if she's good.
Don't worry, just let me know. You can always
There-
revive them later.
There is one question. Does Markov ever does Markov ever come back?
Yes.
Yay.
You can describe that if you would like, Digi.
Alright. Markov had gone to another timeline completely. The first one, in which he had learned many things. And it seems that he also had some setting some events in motion in the background. And
my God.
meeting Mammon Prime.
He invented serration.
Every kitchen knife ever.
Kitchen knife?
Well, he needed
What
to
kitchen-
invent serration before he could apply it to the hammer. It's a step of invention after all.
No, I know, but what kitchen knives are serrated? Like,
Actually, a lot of them are. And
Are
usually
they?
they're
Yeah.
meant for bread, but
is that a serration?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
sort
like a
of
saw.
serration. It's not a straight edge.
It's definitely not a straight edge. I know that much, but like, it's like
That-
bumpy.
yeah,
that
that's
is
serration.
serrated.
Yeah, we've got
Okay.
bread knives that are very thin and like a thin saw blade, a serrated saw
yeah.
blade.
Like I was not sure how to react to your shock. Like, what do you? Why are you surprised? Have you never heard it? Does he know?
This one facet just completely threw him off.
A tooth or point of a serrated edge or surface.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
what about a butter knife?
That's
Have
not
you
serrated.
looked? Well, yes,
Never.
but it's not one smooth. Well, I guess it depends on the butter knife. I've seen them in both.
Depends on the
varieties.
butter knife.
Yes.
Most butter knives are just a flat bit of metal with a slight curve to it.
Yeah, not butter knives, but bread knives,
I-
and like Sirio points out, steak knives are also serrated.
Steak knives and anything for cutting, cutting meat is usually.
I actually have one that I keep in my drawer that is, it literally has on the side of this knife stamped serrated. It's meant as a steak knife, but I use it as a letter opener.
Of course you do.
Man, I'm just so used to serrated being like almost like an edgy decoration that I just did not register that bread knives were serrated.
Well, as I've only ever known it as a working tool.
I hope all of you viewers have grabbed lots of clips tonight. I don't mind uploading them. There were definitely some very clippable moments.
I am so sad seeing this campaign ending prematurely. I had a ton of fun here.
Yeah.
The campaign deserved better than this.
I
Deserves
agree.
a better, yeah.
Especially when we did so much work in getting the group in improving the group.
I had so many plans. But oh well. At least we can manage this epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm over here.
I'll take closure. I'll take the closure of something over the over just. Well, it's over.
Yes.
We at least got some sort of ending, yeah. We managed to cobble it together.
Yep.
I
He
spent
does-
last night trying to put together everything that I did for my own and honestly, I'm still typing up, and perhaps it can be shared later elsewhere, but still typing up activities of service, if you will.
Is perhaps the most invested, like with building himself.
Yeah.
Even if he'll never go into battle, he wants to see his unique power. Just raining death.
I was planning that I might have to leave this group because of work. I was planning to set up the arrangement for this character to still exist and perhaps assist. And consequently, with this arising, well, all of that just simply got repurposed a bit.
You made it to the end. Congratulations.
Huzzah!
I've survived!
You did it. You lived. Everyone lived miraculously. Because if
And
there's
even
gonna be
if
a
they
sudden
didn't-
ending, I might as well make it a happy one.
I
And
mean,
even if they
technically, Korn
didn't, they
died.
probably got revived at some point.
Yeah.
He got better. Everyone
Wasn't
got
sent
better.
to die.
It doesn't count as death if you get better.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't count as death if you're revived.
It just counts as sleeping.
I
guess
was
so.
knocked unconscious for a while.
Also,
It
Mark
hurt.
hooked up with Mary. Much to Madeline's dismay.
Wait, who hooked up with Mary?
Markov.
Oh.
In
That makes
the other timeline, he was doing a lot of research into her, and apparently knew how to woo her when he came back to this timeline.
Well,
That's
all
cool.
right. Let's go
I
ahead.
will- Yep.
Huh?
I believe it is now question time because Golkasa just stays being Golkasa.
Not yet.
Oh, right.
The actual ending.
Yeah.
As everybody gets an invitation. Everyone.
Tree sends the invitations. You can't not be found.
Dun, 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 dun,
And
dun,
if you
dun, dun,
don't
dun,
show
dun,
up, you literally just get teleported.
Again,
He-
Corran
Dressed
gets an
in
invitation at the
glare.
hive as he's trying to corral random drones into one direction. Let them go for that.
Yggdrasilian glare.
Nim has sent out an invitation to everyone, inviting them all to one last feast. Because he killed his dragon, and he's got to share that with everybody. And of course, introduce everybody to Shenzi. But he's taken the courtyard around a tree and decorated it out the wazoo. There are now, in addition to, the plates and the plates, silverware, etc. being animated, he's also managed to animate literally everything else. So, you sit down on the chair and it scoots itself in.
Greta asks if she can do one thing. She would like to make this a grand meal that could feed all of Wrath.
Nim will actually have contacted Greta to help cook. Because there's a
All of
lot of
Ravnica.
dragon meat to cook.
all of
Yep.
Ravnica, Jesus. I don't think
You
the
know-
dragon can feed all of Ravnica.
I don't know if this is a good idea, guys. If it gets out we were serving dragon meat, Niv might be kind of angry.
Nimniz ate the other dragons. Nimniz is gonna come for a bite of that dragon.
Yeah, but where did we get the dragon?
I think by the point that we would have gotten to this, Nimniz would have known that we know about other planes and that we can travel to other planes. I don't think it's gonna be questioning where the dragon came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
To which Greta would reveal her culmination mana ability. One she picked as her number 5, as Nim would watch as she, as a demonstration, tapped the table. It glowed. The giant's table they prepared just to prepare the dragon upon. And as some dragon meat was taken, it was placed. Replenishing feast.
The dragon, that is very nice, very impressive. Nim will send it out on platters, all of them being animated to all corners of Ravnica. And the dragon meat is going to be prepared in literally every way imaginable, because Nim has no idea what the best way to prepare dragon is. So you're all kind of guinea pigs for him as well. Some of those dishes may not work out well.
Is this
so pleased.
Is
What,
this
Greg?
one last lemonade party, but instead of lemonade, it's dragon meat?
No. God, no. I am leaving that vague on how, just any way imaginable, he's prepared it that way.
That was a good comparison.
Oh,
So-
God, the lemonade parties.
Ah, yes, that nightmare that Gordon entered in on.
Yes. Remember when Nim got mana possessed and he literally killed a person? Even though he got
That was the first time Cordan found something that he liked.
Aside from Gray.
Yeah, aside from Grey, which evidently he'll be handing out little packets of powdered,
Gray.
finely ground Grey.
Enemy will ask us, sir, if it's okay for us to be eating dragon meat.
We didn't know the guy.
You will fear. You will feel glares from Nim on you. Cyrus! They don't want to eat dragon meat because they're dragons too. Can you fix that?
Oh,
Graham would just be like, that doesn't change the problem they're going to have with it.
oh, I'm afraid that may not change their mind. You've got to try something else. Though I'm more than happy to change them if they wish.
Are you a villain?
I mean, when Cirrus turned into
A demon?
displacer beast, he lost his reasoning and was acting like a displacer beast. So surely there's some way of tweaking it so that
Oh,
turn them into something that likes dragon meat.
Oh, you goofballs.
Rubican will pat him and said, "Hey, good cop. Remember, good cop."
So, Shenzi, this is Elemen, Cray, Hootie, Corridan, Graham, and Cyrus. And all of you, this is Shenzi, my bestest friend forever.
Hi, it's good to meet everybody. I love having new friends.
It is a
Greetings.
It is a pleasure to meet you. So you are the Chelsea that game talked about all the time.
Graham is still trying to decipher what best friends forever means to Nim. in normal person speak. He's like, are they just like really good friends? Are they? I don't think. No. Nim said he married Shenzi out loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice. It's nice to finally meet you. Also, it explains so much.
What do you mean it explains so much?
You two are just very similar. This is almost exactly how I imagined someone who would marry Nim.
Oh,
By
we
the
are
way-
bestest friends for a reason.
Yes, you are.
By the way, I
He-
have
he-
brought up Shenzi's art on stream.
Very
and
cool.
he shall pat them both.
Oh, she's cute.
Great to make your acquaintance as well.
By the way, but I think Element will probably have Kalseru be in a sort of not as small as he was when he was pretending to be a familiar, but kind of like his when the middle stage. He looks like a horse.
Dog, horse size.
Adolescent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elephant size.
Adolescent dragon.
I do
Fair.
have to ask, how trapped is this dragon on the plane of death? Because I do believe that plane shift is available later down the line. Just a passive, idle thought.
Well,
Hmm.
yeah, this is Shenzi, and I just wanted to share this dragon I made, or we went and hunted it, and now we've cooked it, and I wanted to share it with everybody. So let's consummate our adventures and have a good time. Yeah?
Graham is just gonna raise an
Um,
eyebrow at his use of that word.
Elemi cannot
Do
help.
not
Elemi
believe
cannot
that
help. But,
word means what you think it means.
pardon.
Elemi cannot help but chuckle.
Graham is just like, do we tell him?
Wait, so if we're consumed,
Sorry.
does
What?
that mean we're all bestest friends forever?
No.
Yes!
No.
Yeah!
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we'll all be bestest friends forever.
This is weird, but I am intrigued.
Cray sips his tea.
The misunderstandings continue, but oh well.
In fact, I think
Graham
Cray
is-
can officiate it.
Things have changed so much, but some things always stay the same.
So, Cray, you want to make us all best friends forever?
We already are.
I've had worse propositions.
We can all be married.
That's something different.
Yes,
I do not
that's
understand
a very
this
different thing.
Nim's just tilting his head. What do you mean?
It's what you do when you want to be bestest friends forever with somebody.
Exactly.
Let me clarify something. Marriage is like being bestest friends forever with somebody, but that somebody is a somebody that you usually start a family with.
Well, then we can all be moms and dads to Tree, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure if Corridan would have had this conversation at some point yet, but coming from a hive, he does not understand this.
Yeah, I don't think the concept even exists in Cordan's species. So
Tree's
dear.
mind seems to be expanding
The
with
brood.
this revelation.
Well, you see, when a mother and a father love each other very much,
I mean,
A
even
tree
when you say
becomes
that,
God.
you're having to
first they take
explain
off
that.
their clothes, then they go into bed.
Why? No, I'm not even gonna go there. No.
Corridan is a giant
You know
insect
how-
man. He does
you know
not.
how you
His society
stop-
does not have anything like this. They do not need
you
it
know
to
how you
survive.
stop naivety? You make it super uncomfortable for the player playing that character.
Look, I don't know what's allowed on here. Things have changed since the last
Twitch.
time I played with
It's
Nim.
the epilogue. Fuck it.
Ray just dead man
Literally.
explains sex.
Oh God.
You are genuinely explaining this to Shenzi. She will look horrified and have like very little understanding.
Thirst
Ray,
just gave me
meanwhile,
chuckles
is just a
aside.
By the way, this
deadpan
whole segment
individual.
needs to be clipped.
I can honestly see Gray just explain this to Chensi and Nim with no strings attached.
Gray pulls out a book of anatomy and shows them pictures.
Even
This
Wolf.
would just be chuckling.
Graham
Shenzi
hands
covered
them like
her
a
eyes.
Kama Sutra
No.
book.
Oh, is this like a book of biology?
Yeah.
God damn, just look at it like this would be very useful for dissections.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Tree.
What were you
Oh,
saying,
so that's
Shenzi?
what it looks like.
Oh no, Shenzi is covering her eyes and going, no, 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 no.
What's wrong with her?
dear. I do believe there may have been a misunderstanding of what they've.
No. Shenzi, I believe, is covering Tree's eyes.
Oh.
No. No, Shenzi is covering her own eyes. She does not want to see the book. She wants nothing to do with this. This is beyond her scope of comfort.
Oh, I do believe
Then-
there's been a
then-
misunderstanding here.
Then Tree is educating herself.
May
Oh.
I see the book?
My God. Wait. Me? Wait.
No,
No.
Tree, yours
I'll-
is different. Graham
My-
gets a plant book.
My
Tree.
branch? What do I swear to?
Why is everyone so surprised by this? This is normal biological functionality. This is how people reproduce. Everyone does.
Coradan's gonna take the
I
book
am not-
that Cray has,
I-
and he's just gonna be looking through it like, so that's how the bones fit together.
I mean, I am not surprised, but
That
Coradan
would
is from a
explain why it
completely.
was so hard to cut.
But Coradan is from a different. Coradan is an insectoid race that's different from the ones we have in Radica, and you know Nim, so I don't know why you're surprised that they are having this reaction.
Coradan is 100%
Listen,
focused not on the interactions now. It's just on the actual physical biology now. It's just like, so that's why it's so difficult to cut. There's a bone there.
Listen, I know Nim, but Nim's also an adult. At least I believe he's an adult. Like, this should be instinct for him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically an intelligent wild animal. This should just be inherent knowledge in his brain.
Golcasa,
But he's also
eyebrows raised. So is that consummation offer still around?
I will not be partaking.
I'd rather not.
Just checking.
You'll have to ask the two that want to do that, though.
Considering one is covering their face and saying no, like nonstop, I think she's stuck. And the other is Nim. I don't know.
Yeah, what
And
is
the other is Nim.
yeah? How is Nim reacting to all of this?
Nim is just acting. Nim is confused. Okay, so that's what two-leggers do? What about for
Yes.
people like me?
The majority of mammals, actually.
It basically is the same thing, except just different positions.
It varies from species to species, even different areas sometimes. And there's always outliers.
Avians
Wait,
have to deal with
See,
eggs.
there's this thing called doggy style.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Did you just? That is a. Nim, they are not calling you a dog by any measure, just so we are clear.
And let me get.
Oh. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think this is a wonderful scene to leave off on, unless anybody wants more. Not you viewers. I know what you all want. But
Are you sure?
Listen.
Listen. Are you sure? Are you sure this is the scene you want to end this show on forever?
Fair
Calcero
point. Give us
literally
something
just
else.
Wait, what is Calcero saying?
He is considering. Do you want to marry Element?
Calcero, no.
Calcero,
You've
yeah.
rejected so many girls. I have to wonder.
I have no time for that. You know that.
Time.
Graham
fair,
will
the
just
process
Graham will
can be
just lean
very
over and
quick.
just be like, "Don't worry, Calcero. Just hint that he should mix work and pleasure, and hit on either a superior or maybe like an equal, someone who basically he's going to be working with. Then he has no
so
excuse.
so Elemin and Gulkasa should get married.
Yes.
They should be best friends forever.
Laughs loudly.
Elemit's face is like a stone right now.
I'll make sure that the chef checks your cake so that this one doesn't attack you like ours did.
Oh, that's a very
Wait,
good
what?
point. Very good question. Or thing to do.
Casa's just got his head in his hands, like, oh my god.
Graham would be like, actually, I think Golkasa would prefer the cake attack.
Actually, you're probably right. And suddenly I feel like I want to drink some booze for time.
Well, I can't do anything about the cake, but I'm pretty sure we still have the dragon bones. I can turn that into a friend, and you can spar with my friend.
Yes!
Yeah.
I can help you with that if you need.
That is
fun.
That is
Bring
how
me a
we'll-
skeletal dragon and I will marry Element.
Let's do it!
I was about to say that I wanted to join the fight, but now
Graham will lean
now-
over
now-
to Elemin. Run and never return.
I feel like that's a wonderful scene to end on, though. Shenzi
Yes.
bringing back the dragon, and us all being like, oh god, the Draco Lich!
Eating the meat of the dragon whose bones I have just resurrected-ish. As far as necromancy can resurrect things anyway.
Element sneaking away and Galcasa flying towards it.
Element was about to join in on the fight, but then things got awkward.
Emin was going to join in on the fight, but then I was like, well, if I do this, I'm going to have to get married.
To Golkasa.
Fight maniac. Galcasa will continue to be Galcasa. No change. No change. He never went through a character arc. He just was. He just was who he was always going to be.
Galcasa is eternal.
His character arc is going to be when someone beats him.
I mean, I think he did went into a character arc, but his character arc was a story outside of our own. He was already the commander after all.
Yeah. Also, he's 57.
Yes.
All right, shall we go ahead and wrap this up and move over to the Q&A?
Sounds great.
Well, everyone, thank you all so very much for joining us on this adventure with Guild Tails Dungeons and Dragons. We really could not have done this all these years without you all, the viewers, coming by and hanging out with us and supporting our shenanigans. So thank you. I'm sorry again that we had to wrap this up so abruptly, but unfortunately, Wizards has made that a thing. But check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Twitter, Patreon, and more. there on the website, as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, donators, and subscribers. You keep this channel alive. Don't forget to share the stream around. There will be more adventures in store for our there will be more adventures in store for our Wednesday group. We're still going to be figuring out where we're going next. Just unfortunately, this chapter is closed. But again, thank you for joining, everybody, and I bid you the most fondest adieu.
Later, everybody. It was a pleasure to entertain you.
Bye, guys.
It was
Thank
a pleasure
you for
to
letting me
run.
come back.
Thank you for
Have a
coming
good
back.
night, everyone. We will be
Absolutely
around in the
glorious.
community.